Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 7, Episode 2, Drunk in Love. So we open up the episode exactly where we left off last week with Penelope walking in on Gary draining his dragon. So of course he's trying to play it off, telling her it's not what it looks like. And she tells him, look, you're sick. You're in here jacking off to your ex's dirty underwear. Gary had to let it be known and clarify, look, keep it calm. They were clean. Gary really needs to go and get some help, like for real, for real. He is out of control. So Penelope tells him he has not changed. He is obsessed with Andy, and he plays in her face and tries to lie and say, look, I just got horny looking at you during dinner. And she says, look, you think I'm a fool. Yes, girl, he really does. And he knows that you are because you took him back the first time, okay? So Penelope, she goes out there and tells them that she's not feeling well. Thanks for hosting, but we're going to head on out. So Gary, he comes out, and I guess he decided he was going to get extra petty while Andy over there giving him the side eye like something's up. So apparently he did not wash his hands when he was in there cleaning up because he intentionally shook hands with Jordan and then proceeded to wipe his same dirty hand all over Jordan's shirt and tried to play it off saying, nice shirt. But Penelope knew what time it was. So the two of them, they leave, but when they get on the elevator, Gary decides to show his true colors. So, of course, Penelope, she is hurt and embarrassed, and she tells him she cannot believe she even took him back. She calls him sick, and he's saying, keep your voice down, and he jacks her all up like he getting ready to do something. I'm like, oh, no, sir. I know you're not in there putting your hands on her, too. You being verbally, physically, and mentally abusive. Like, Gary is straight trash. And Penelope, you need to get out, girl. You need to get out. You should have never went back to that fool in the first place. So then he tells her she needs to get over it, and it was her fault anyway because he been begging for sex for about a week and she been complaining. She got a headache as if she's the first person to ever get pregnant. So then he has the audacity to say he needs time to think about all of this, so enjoy yourself at my house by yourself, and left her on the elevator. Like, what? Penelope, if you know like I know, you better go home, pack all your stuff, and be gone by the time he decides to come back. So we go over there to Danny's house, and she's sitting with Sabrina, who's been over there for about an hour drinking up all of Danny's wine. Sabrina is basically trying to get her to go see a therapist and is bringing up Preston and old childhood trauma and maybe thinking that is what's causing her all these nightmares. Danny is being very dismissive and tells Sabrina she is a lot happier now. She's in a space that she wants to be in. She's good. And basically kicks Sabrina out of her house. So we shoot over there to Hayden's house, and he get a late night pop-up from Gary talking about he needs somewhere to stay and that Gary owes him because he paid for that PI that found out about Tamara. And I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't you get a hotel room or go to one of your many females' houses? So he comes in there looking for the good liquor, wondering where it's at, and Hayden was like, Tamara took it all. So he convinces Hayden to have a drink with him, and they toast to effing females, and Hayden wanted to know, aren't you getting married? And he says he just gave her the ring to buy some time. So he comes up with this little thing in his head, and he asks Hayden, does he know who Jordan Williams is? Of course he does, because Hayden and Gary know everybody, right? So Gary volunteers Hayden to help him take Jordan down, and Hayden says, no, I'm not doing that. I don't know that man like that. Like, if he not bothering me and didn't mess with my money or my female, then, I'm good on that. Just like Gary said to him, it never stopped you before, because just in the season finale, Hayden was asking Gary to help him take down Fatima and Zach, and Gary wanted no parts in taking down Zach. So it's just a switcheroo. I guess we're supposed to forget all of that was even said, but whatever. So we go over there to Zach and Fatima's, and Zach has made breakfast. So they have a seat and they start talking, and Fatima asks him what he's working on. So he says that he came up with the idea of getting a trust for Michael and Zach Jr. So Fatima, she looks up like, what, y'all named the baby already? So Zach says he was planning on speaking to Karen about it. So Fatima clearly gets in her feelings, and he says, what's the problem? You were just fine with it a minute ago. She says that she changed her mind and tells him that he got a lot going on and he needs to get his ducks in a row. He was like, well, why you talking like somebody's auntie? And, he's noticed that she was being serious about it. And she was like, whatever, it's your money. And then reminds him of a meeting that they have with Andy. Now, on last week's episode, Zach sat on the sofa the whole time acting distraught, like he didn't know what to do. I'm coming to get you, Mikey, no matter what. And now he forgets that he has a meeting about the arbitration with Andy. Child, please. Then he says that, can Andy just come to them because he hate going to the law firm? And I'm like, since when, sir? I mean, as much as you be at the law firm, I would think you was already on the payroll. So we get over there to the law firm, and Andy walks into the break room, and she runs into Hayden. So they have a little bit of tension going on, but they end up having a conversation like everything was cool. So Gary's name comes up, and he's asking Andy, like, what's up with Gary? Because he always got something going on. He's always in some mess. And he tells her that Penelope and Gary got into it, and Gary stayed at his house last night, and he needs Gary up out of his house, and that Gary kept him up all night talking about females, money, and sports, and said what he looked like, his BFF. So Hayden says he doesn't even know what Gary does for a living, and Andy says he runs a hedge fund. Hayden wanted to know, was that still going on, because something was off about Gary, because he's always plotting and planning. So that's when Fatima walks in and wants to know, was Hayden bothering Andy? And she told him no, they were just talking. So the two of them, they do their usual banter. And Andy says, look, this is getting old. Can the two of you just stop the beefing? And both of them looked at each other and simultaneously said no. Kind of like the same way that Fatima and Zach normally does it, just without the head tilt. So Andy, she gave up and she walked out. The two of them looked at each other again, said no simultaneously again, and basically it was given, this is to the dirt, like this is forever. But for real, quiet as it's kept, the last time I saw two people act like this on a TV show, the two of them ended up hunching. So I hope we're not trying to shift the energy that way, because we saw how Fatima was acting like she felt sorry for what she was doing and this and that and the other. I don't know what happened to him trying to plot revenge. Now all of a sudden that's out the window. Child, don't try it. So we go over there to the salon, and Karen is over there standing on this ladder trying to hang up some pictures, knowing she should not be up there in the first place. So Pam is trying to convince her to get down before she fall and hurt herself, and she ends up doing that. And I'm trying to figure out, why can't Karen get any help? I don't even know why Pam isn't helping, because every time we see Pam, she running around, prancing around, strutting, not doing a damn thing, but looking cute. So in walks Trey. He's bringing in some deliveries. Pam went and ordered all kind of decor for the salon, rugs and candles and this and that and the other. And Karen was like, well, who is paying for this? So Pam said it was going to go to the write-off people. Basically, when they send the receipts, the government was going to pay for it. Karen had to tell her, look, that is not how this works, and basically told her all that stuff might have to be sent back. So the delivery guy asked Karen what her name was, handed her his business card, and told her if she needed to have the stuff picked back up, he'll be glad to come and get it, and hoping that she called. And of course, Pam was flirting with him, but just like Brian, Trey trying to holler at pregnant Karen. So Karen opens up one of the boxes that she ordered, and come to find out, Pam over there ordering some bull semen for some hair product she trying to sell. And Karen told her, look, all this stuff going back. And Pam talking about the semen is not refundable. Like, girl, stop ordering all that stuff on that girl dime. So Karen, she goes and calls Sabrina at the bank. And she's asking her, is there any way she can help her get a personal loan? And Sabrina was like, well, didn't you just get a business loan? So Karen tells her that that money is almost gone, because Pam over there ordering stuff she don't need. She got her own bills to pay. The salon's not finished, and she still got this baby on the way. So Sabrina mentioned to Karen about a couple she just helped that had a lot of debt that she got approved for a loan. And Karen was like, well, I don't have that option to have a significant other to help me. So I guess Sabrina went to reflecting on life in itself and asked Karen, does she think about the future, and does she want like the whole package, like with the kids and the man and all of that? Like, don't she think that they deserve that? Karen says she's just living day by day, focusing on her child and her business. If it gets greater later, then fine, she's willing to accept that. But as of right now, she's okay with how things are. So she asked Sabrina why she was asking all of that, and Sabrina told her she was just wondering. So Sabrina told her she'll come over this weekend and give her the options for the loan, and Karen thought that was great. And before she hung up, she was trying to tell Karen, like, tell the baby that her favorite auntie Sabrina said hi. And as she was saying all of that, someone walks in and she hangs up the phone with Karen. But let's rewind to the part where she says her, as if Karen was having a girl. But you got Zach over there talking about Zach Jr. So I don't know if everybody's just having wishful thinking and speaking on what they want it to be or what, but we'll soon find out. But then someone comes in her office, and I really don't know if this is a supervisor or just another nosy-ass coworker or what, but she tells Sabrina that she can hear her phone call all the way down the hallway and that she needs to remember there are no personal phone calls. So then she tells her she likes everything that she has going on, and I don't know if she means her look, her vibe, her energy, or what, but you never know these days. So we go over there to the law firm, and Andy and Fatima are talking about the whole Gary situation and how he ended up at Hayden's house and all of that. And Fatima basically lets her know, don't worry about Gary, focus on Jordan. So then Zach comes in, and Andy proceeds to tell them how the whole arbitration is going to go and what's going to be needed. And so Zach says he has all kind of receipts. He has the neighbor's testimony, the social worker, hospital bills, and pictures. I guess they got those off camera, but whatever. And then I'm wondering why Andy didn't even say, you guys can have a seat. It's like she could have did this over the phone. They just stood up there for like 2 seconds. But anyway, so then Andy asks them when is their wedding date, because it will look better to place Michael in a 2-parent home if something is already set and in place. So, of course, Zach is loving this because he's looking at Fatima like, yeah, like, when is the date? Like, as if Fatima has already been dragging her feet about it. Fatima, she's standing there looking crazy and stressed out like, oh, Lord, now I got to give a date. She tells Zach, look, we'll talk about it later. And he leaves, and Fatima is standing there looking stressed out, talking about this is too much. So do you guys think Fatima is getting cold feet? Do you think Zach is going to kind of pressure her into marrying him just so he can have Michael? I can definitely see that being the case. So we go over there to the airport, and Danny, she's helping a customer when Tony comes up asking, can he get some printer paper? So she was like, sure, Tony, whatever. He goes up under the desk and proceeds to make it do what it do up under her skirt. So now Danny is extremely distracted while trying to help the little old lady looking like Sophia from the Golden Girls. And the lady is looking at Danny like, what is wrong with you, over there shaking like a leaf? Danny, she finally manages to give the lady her stuff, and here comes Tony popping back up, talking about he just wanted a little taste. So Danny was like, really? Like, there's cameras everywhere, and basically, Tony don't give a damn. He's like, he wants them to get caught. But Danny, like, she not going down with him. So the thing for me with Tony is you're supposed to be more professional. You're supposed to be in a managerial position, I thought, a VP over a particular department. So I would expect more out of him and not to be doing lewd and lascivious acts in public where he knows cameras are, talking about he wants to get caught. So I'm curious to know how many other employees have Tony done this to. I mean, is Helena still running around? Because I'm sure she'll be down. And then after talking to Danny, and she's expressing that she didn't like how he ambushed her with Sabrina and all of that about the therapist. And he's telling her, like, you're very stubborn. How about you just come to my office so that I can knock that stubbornness out? It seems like Tony is very freaky and has a sex addiction. I mean, you guys are on the clock. And then we know that you're going to get caught by your kids. So it's like they're constantly in his office hunching. So Danny, she calls Karen to invite her to a brunch they're having the next day. And Karen automatically tells her no, because all they're going to be doing is getting sloppy drunk while she's sipping on her water, and she wanted no parts of it. So Danny told her it wasn't about the drinking. It was more about them bonding. And Karen still basically turned her down because Danny organized it, so it was really just centered around drinking, so it still was a no for her, and they end up hanging up. So Sabrina, she goes over to Maurice's house. basically just walks in claiming that the door was left open. But then she's all frowned up, looking around in disgust, barely want to touch anything or sit down, as if somebody actually invited her or whatever. Maurice, he's on the computer doing his little OnlyFans thing with one of his clients moaning and stuff in the background. So Sabrina is asking him questions about it. So he's telling her like he makes 3 times the salary, and she's still looking at him in disgust, talking about it sounds like desperation. And he's like, well, what are you doing here anyway? Like, what do you want? So she claims she came over there to get some dress she left over there before Calvin left. And Maurice had to tell her, that dress is long gone. I had to destroy that for one of my clients. And the crazy part about it, she picks up these handcuffs that he had and takes them with her. But you didn't want to touch anything, so why would you take his handcuffs that he's been using for God knows what? Like, girl, no ma'am. It's the next day and we're at the brunch. We got Fatima, Andy, Danny, and Sabrina. They're all chopping it up, kalacky-lacking, laughing, having a nice little time. Andy is claiming that Jordan is making her a sex addict. Danny had to tell her to quit capping because she was already that. So Andy, she's trying to convince herself and everybody else that Gary doesn't compare to Jordan, and like Jordan got it going on. But child, I don't think so. So anyway, they all toast to inches in thickness, and they're having a nice little time when Karen pops up. I guess she sees Fatima sitting at the table and she leaves. So Andy asks Danny how was the relationship going with Tony. And Danny says that he's been harassing her about therapy. So they get into that whole conversation. So Fatima, she lets Danny know about her therapist named Krisha. It's a black lady, and she lists all the things that, she likes about her and feel like Danny would like. So Danny actually decided she would give it a try at least one time. So Sabrina was pretty happy about that. So Sabrina, she decides she wants to bring up marriage and kids, and Fatima was like, she wants to have 2 kids of her own, but she has to deal with the 2 that Zach already has. And then Danny mumbles, well, personally, it might not be Zach's. So then Fatima was like, oh, so you don't think that it's Zach's either? Now, honestly, I think that Danny being Karen's friend, I don't think she should have put that battery in Fatima's back to make her feel that maybe it's a possibility that it could not be. But, you keep that amongst the group or to yourself. Like, you don't do that to Karen, knowing the history between her and Fatima. So Andy was like, well, what baby are we talking about? Because there's so many. So Fatima says Zach Jr. and everybody just busting a gut because they thought that was the funniest thing ever. And she was like, yeah, I was supposed to be the one to have a Zach Jr. So she mentions the trust to them, and Danny was like, for sure, definitely you need to make sure that he gets that test. So Danny gets home from the brunch, and Tony's already in her apartment, and I'm like, well, damn, has he moved in already? And does he have his own place? Because I don't understand why he's there like he is already moved in. So she comes in like, hey, honey, I'm home. And he's like, hey, baby, how was the brunch? And she goes to telling them what they were talking about, and he gets a little scared in the face like, oh, you didn't tell him about my stuff, did you? And I'm like, Tony, I know you're not acting shy about your man size because you all in the airport with security cameras recording everything with you doing lewd and lascivious acts in public. So, and you like to have sex at will. So what difference does it make if the girls know how many inches you working with? You don't care. You like to get caught, right? But anyway, he turns the TV off to listen to her, and she tells him the good news that she decided to give therapy a shot. So he thought it was a good idea, and she wanted to continue to celebrate the news, and she straddled her man. He took his shirt off, showed just how strong of a back he had, lifted her right on up slightly and politely, and took her right to the bed. So we go over there to Sabrina's house, and it looks like Rich comes over. The minute he gets in the door, Sabrina is drunk as a skunk. She's all over him, hanging off of him, talking about you're so sexy, asking him how many kids he wants, and he's like, I don't want any kids. So they pretty much get into this one-sided conversation because Sabrina is too drunk to really comprehend what's really going on. Her mind is one track, and it's like, I need your sperm, and I need you to help me make these babies. He keeps telling her that's not what he wants, and she's bringing up marriage, and he's like, look, I don't believe in marriage anymore after my divorce. And she was like, well, you're just going to have your wife in a big house with no kids. And, it's just like, look, these guys had already told these ladies they did not want to get married again. That was off top when they first met them. So I don't know what was being said in these last 3 months that they've been together. I guess everybody just having sex. Nobody's actually doing any kind of talking, which is crazy to me, because when you guys were on that bus, that should have been your first question. Like, well, did you and your ex-wife have any kids? And that would have led to the conversation like, no, we didn't, and I basically don't want any. The two of you seem like you're not compatible in what your interests are. She likes dogs, you like cats. She wants a house, you want a condo. She wants kids, you don't. And like, I don't know where this is going to go. As much as I want Sabrina to have somebody that she is really into and that's into her, I just don't see how it's going to work when he is so adamant about how he feels about it. Like, where would the turnaround come from? And what exactly would be your deal breaker? Like, do you want a family so bad, kids and a husband, that you now have to let Rich go? Like, would you let him go? Are you going to sacrifice the things that you want just to keep him as a lifetime partner? So anyway, she is still drunk, trying to tell him they need to go practice. She needs his sperm. And he's just looking so uncomfortable. Like, what have I gotten myself into? So she sashays to the room and she passes out on the bed. And he's calling her name. And, he's thinking about it and he ends up leaving. So we see Andy meeting up with Jordan and he's trying to tell her the good news he received today and that he had an endorsement from the mayor. And I'm like, well, is this part of Gary's plan? Because we know that Gary has the mayor in his back pocket. So did Gary call the mayor to tell him to set that up? Or is this just totally genuine? We'll see. So he's trying to tell her about the PR and the press and can't wait for them to meet her. And Andy really didn't give a damn what Jordan was talking about. She was just ready to go and have sex. That's it, and that's all. So we go over there to Zach and Fatima's, and he's getting ready to go to the gym. She's coming from the brunch, and she's acting like she's in her feelings, and he asks her, like, what's up? What's wrong with you? So she tells him that she feels like he needs to get this DNA test. So he tries to blame it on Danny, them saying that they were in Fatima's ear. She says she's been thinking about this for a while and that he needs to get it done and that both of them need to be present when it happens. And he's like, look, how many times do I have to tell you that the baby is mine?
Are you sure about that? Are you sure?
So Fatima tells him he doesn't know that for sure. So Zach is just trying to make it seem like Fatima is in her feelings because he's having the baby. He gets it. He can understand why she may be feeling like she is, but being totally oblivious to the fact that you may not be the father. Like, is Aaron even a thought in his mind? I'm confused. So then he had the audacity to tell her she couldn't go hang out with the girls anymore because they was filling her head up with stuff as if she can't think for her damn self. Like, this not her first time telling you this, for one. So I don't know where you come off telling somebody what they can and can't do or who they can and can't be around. When we started doing that? No, sir. So then they get to the immature part of the conversation and she started calling him stupid and he's mocking her and going out the door talking about, I guess I'll just be stupid then. And I would have been like, going on with your dumb ass. So we see Gary in this office on the phone with some chick trying to book her a flight to fly her in. And I guess she getting ready to talk dirty over the phone. And he telling her, oh, I'm getting hard right now just thinking about it. Next thing you know, some guy comes barging into the office and he gets off the phone and he tells him that they have a problem. He's telling him that investors are pulling their money, that they've messed up. People are not registered with the SEC. Like, it's over, whatever they got going on. Gary's over there. He can't believe it. He's checking his computer, looking at stuff and realizing what the guy is saying is true. Word on the street associated with their company is that they are a scam. It's a Ponzi scheme, and people are talking about lawsuits. So Gary, he calls the guy Hudson and tells him that we can't get caught. Hudson tells him that he's already wiped his computer clean, and he suggested to Gary that he do the same thing. So Gary gives him a stack of papers and tell him to start shredding stuff. So he runs out the door to do that. So Gary, he gets a phone call from Hayden, and he's like, look, I can't talk right now. And Hayden is frantic like, look, bro, Why is the FBI at my house looking for you? And Gary can't believe it. And that's where the episode ends. Woo child. What did you guys think about this week's episode? Do you guys think that someone tipped the FBI off to let them know that Gary was at Hayden's house because nobody knew that but Hayden and Andy? And why haven't they shown up to this particular office that he's sitting in? Wouldn't they go there first? And do you think Fatima is wrong for telling Zach that he needs to get a DNA test and that they need to be present for the results? I mean, I don't think so, but hey, what do you guys think? This week's episode was written by Kourtney Richard, so drop down in the comments. Let's talk about what you thought about the episode. As always, you guys, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.